Hello everybody. I am going to do, even though my video is still with my iPhone, I have a mount for it now. So I am going to do a SMC harvest and reball to fix this board I'm working on. I got an 820000165 with a bad SMC, no green light on the charger. Here's the bad chip. The PP3V42 voltage was down to 2.6. I looked at this under thermal. It glowed red. It's definitely bad. This is a shorted SMC. I need one. So, because I can't buy these, and these are programmed. These are basically what these chips do. SMC stands for System Management Controller. What this chip does, this connects to the PCH, this connects to all the power rails. This is what communicates with the charger. This is what tells the charger to turn on. This is what turns the power rails off and on. This will send the PCH all power good to the PCH chip. This is kind of the heart of the machine besides a processor as far as controlling on and off circuitry. It is not magic. It's just basically a system controller. And the reason Apple uses these is because they can program this one chip to handle all the functions, so they don't need a whole pile of parts and gates turning things on and off, if then or gates and all these components. They can just buy this one chip and program it for their board and be done. But they won't sell you this chip. And the chip is designed in such a way that if you try and read the firmware that's on it, it commits suicide. It will literally erase itself. So the only way I can get these chips is to harvest one off a board. This one on this board may or may not be good. I know this board has a CPU short. That's what it's in here for. It becomes a donor board because it's brain dead. So it becomes a donor board. So let me show you what's involved. The first thing we're going to do, I'm going to turn the hot air gun on to get it to temp. I put this little shield down so I don't melt my bench. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to take one off the board. Let's switch to foot feet. My hot air gun has a foot feet control, so I preheat with the switch and then I switch to foot feet. So let's go ahead and let's pull up the glue on the corners. Got to be careful not to overheat these chips. You cannot buy them. You can only harvest them. I think right now this is probably my last SMC for this generation board. I don't think I have any more after this. There we go. So I'm going to put some fresh flux down on here. I've got the glue off. Now let's go ahead and go for chip removal. So I'm kind of heating the surrounding area. Two reasons: one, to get the gun hot, and two, to kind of give me a head start on getting the chip off of here. If the rest of the board is hot around it, that slows down the thermal conductivity of the board once we get the chip off. So now I'm going to go for the chip. And I'm just kind of touching the corners here to see when it flows. This chip is like 170 some pins. Let me look. See how many pins this thing has on it. U5000. It has more pins than I want to play with, let me tell you. $157 pins. So this BGA package has 157 pins. keep in mind the board I put this on may have more problems than just this chip. Oh, there it went. So it's off. Chip is off. Put the board back in the donor pile. Now I'm just going to touch up the chip here. I want to see if there's any gray balls, corroded balls. I don't see any, so this is going to be really easy. All I'm going to have to do is just put some fresh solder on this thing. I just want to kind of clean up the balls that are on here and get some leaded solder on there. I'm not a big fan of using leaded solder, but when it comes to these puppies, I'll take any advantage I can get. I prefer not to use leaded solder, but with these SMC chips, I'm going to use it. Any advantage I can get with this package. Okay, so I went over all the balls. I don't have any exposed pads or gray pads. So now we're going to go ahead and clean this chip and get it prepared for reballing. I'm going to get my plate heater on, and I'll show you what that's for in a minute. But now first I got to clean this thing. And I'm doing this in real time, so let's see if that's still in the camera video. Yeah, you can still see what I'm doing. So let's get this puppy cleaned up. Get it ready. Okay, chip is clean. Go ahead and clean my little work area here. Now this is a direct heat stencil, meaning that you heat directly on the stencil. You don't just connect it with balls. Some stencils you just put some flux on it, and then you can just go ahead and attach the chip, attach the balls to the chip, and you're done. Other stencils, you do direct heat and paste, and that's what these are. I find for these chips that definitely works the best. This is a direct heat stencil. Now once I get that in there, I'm gonna have to adjust that chip so all the balls are lined up. So let's do that now. Obviously it's really crooked. And you know, here's kind of, if you're going to be doing this, I wish somebody told me this in advance when I started doing it. So I bought my stencil from Louis Rossmann. The first one I got, I tried and tried and tried. I had problems with the balls jumping out, and it was very frustrating. And it turned out that that stencil was defective. The holes in between each ball were too close together, and when you float it, they'd pop out. So then I ordered another one from Louis Rossmann, and the second one was much better. So just be prepared. When you buy a stencil and it's really frustrating, don't think it's you. Check your stencil. Make sure that the stencil's good, because it might not be. Well, we've almost got it. We almost got it. Almost. Uh-oh, and I got a little piece of debris in here. So I got debris in my stencil, so I got to take it off and start over. One little hole was plugged. That won't work. I clean my stencils every time I use them. That way I'm ready to go for the next time. But I must have got a little piece of debris in there. This is one of those deals where you just want to get it right the first time. You do not want to mess with it. Now I've seen some people do them without putting them in a holder. Yeah, I'm not that good yet. I've probably only done 20 of these things, maybe 30. So I'm not a super ninja yet. But I'm trying to get these little balls all centered in these holes. And it looks like I've almost got it. Almost. There we go. So now that I've got the chip and the stencil perfectly lined up, now we're going to put down our leaded paste. And I do this under the microscope. I want to see every little detail when I'm doing these chips. Keep in mind, this is just to get a chip. I haven't even fixed the machine yet. I'm just trying to get me a part to fix the machine. They do sell these on eBay, but they're blank. Or if they sell them, they're just someone scamming you. They're not for the right board. You have to have them programmed for your board, and they're not completely interchangeable. A few of them are interchangeable, but they're written for the board. They're power management control for your board, so you can't just willy-nilly rob one from, 192.820.00164 and an 820.00165. SMC are not interchangeable. You can't just willy-nilly steal one from the next. Okay, so I think I've just about got them in here. I like to kind of paste them in there and make sure I get it all in there. I'm going to turn my gun on and get a head start. You can hear that running. I'm using my foot to turn that on. All right. So under the microscope, I'm watching the solder paste and the balls. And sometimes this solder paste likes to pop out. You just kind of have to be careful with it. It will form a ball, but if you hit it too hard, it'll pop out. So you just kind of have to feel it. There we go. Now we got some balls forming. Good balls forming. Now I'm moving up. There. Now I'm just gonna smoke it down real quick. Looks like we got nice balls on everything. It's gonna be a little hot, so. Whew. Now here's my next trick. Probably because my stencils are not accurate, I use this plate, which is preheated to 220, which is a little high for leaded solder. I'm just cleaning it right there, so what I do, let me get this plate adjusted. I don't know why I do it this way, but it's just kind of worked out for me. because this chip is stuck on there, probably because these aren't aligned perfectly, and if you pry it, you'll break the balls off. So because my stencil's not perfect, I just kind of lay it on my heat plate and bubble the stencil off. I'll show you what I'm doing right here. You know, and after you do one of these anyway, you kind of want to bubble the stencil off in the first place, because you want to recenter the balls. There we go. Now those are all recentered balls. My stencil came off real easy, so now I'm going to clean it. You always want to clean your stencils right away or that flux gets hard. So I'm going to go ahead and blow mine out real quick. Put this in the holder for the next time. Now let's go ahead and clean the chip again, because now we got to clean it and get it ready for application. You don't have to clean it, but this is kind of an inspection time. This allows me to inspect the balls, make sure they're all good. I think I'm gonna have to go right-handed so you can see what I'm doing. Someday I'll have a camera in my microscope, but right now I do not. So this looks really good. I got a nice flow. All my balls are attached. They're all the same size. So I'm pretty happy with this. Just gonna clean up my excess right there. Now I'm going to inspect it. I'm going to look up on the side and make sure my balls are all the right size, because you don't want one ball bigger than the next. You know, you want all your balls to be symmetrical, and they are. I mean, these are perfect balls. This came out really nice. So now let's go ahead and get my board. I'm going to turn my gun on, get it ready. Turn my lower preheater off. I don't need it anymore. Lay down some flux here. You may notice like a couple balls are missing, or a couple pads are missing. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Those are not used, and it's pretty common, depending on how you remove the chip, to have those come off when you take the chip off. In this case, I was lifting the chip and letting gravity pull it off the board for me when it liquefied, and those two balls couldn't hold the weight of the board, so they popped off. And that's okay, they're not used. So just pull up your board view, and you'll find that if these balls come off awful easy, they probably weren't used. So what I'm doing now is I'm just visually verifying its position. Intel or Apple does not mark the boards, so you kind of have to learn where they go. When I first started doing this, I had to use a reference board. Now I just kind of know what traces they line up onto, and I don't, but when I started, I used a reference board. I'd look at a donor board in the box and see where the corners lined up. I also see people mark the corners, put little scratches in the board. I don't like doing that. I'm a big fan of leave no trace when you fix something. I don't want to scratch the board to mark where the chip goes. I'm not going to do that. That may work for some guys, and you may like to do it that way yourself. That's okay. It's just not my deal. We got nice flow. Chips bouncing back. It's on there. I'm gonna give this some rapid cool technology, otherwise known as a fan. That's my board cooling fan over there. I don't know if you can see that. But what we're hoping for now, we're hoping for a green light on the charger. Let's zoom this out a little bit while this board's cooling. All right. Board's cool enough. Well, now it's still too hot. 150, 60 degrees is too hot. Okay. So let's see, if we're lucky, we will get a green light on the charger. And if we're unlucky, we will get a green light on the charger and something else wrong with the board, which is often the case when you buy them off eBay broken. All right, green light? Yes. Current? Good. 500. Yep, we have a booting board, people. So that is an SMC job, start to finish, live on the bench. This is like playing Operation. One little bump and you get to start over. Don't be frustrated. The first one of these I did took all day. And I went through several different stencils before I figured it out. So the stencils that I use, if I can show you a close-up of that. Let me get it out of my box here. This is a direct heat stencil. I'm gonna see if I can show you, I saved the one that doesn't work. I'm gonna see if I can just pull that, get that out of my box here and let you see that and just kind of show you, because man, I can't tell you how many hours I wasted on my life on this bullshit stencil. Hopefully it's in this box. I'm pretty sure I saved it. Oh, I did. There it is. Let me go ahead and clean it up too, just so you can, and I'm gonna zoom in really close so we can see. Let me go ahead and clean this stencil up. That way you can really see, because I left balls on it. I got so mad I didn't even clean it last time. Let me clean this stencil up. This is the one that doesn't work. And I tell you what, there's nothing more frustrating than a shitty stencil. You know, you buy something, and I bought mine from Louis Rossmann, both of them, and they were not the same. And you know, I'm not going to return it. The thing is, what, $3? I wasn't even going to mess with returning it. But I want to show these to you so that you can see the difference between one that will cause you grief and one that won't. This one caused me so much grief. I tried unsuccessfully, repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly to do these SMC chips, and I thought I was just incompetent. You know, I see these guys do them on Lewis's channel and stuff, and they make it look so easy, and I'm like, God, what is wrong with me? Am I like a complete loser or something? And no, I wasn't. The stencil sucked. So I want to show you this so that you don't fall into that trap. Because anybody getting into this business is going to have to redo SMCs until Apple changes their policy, which, you know, hell freezing over and Apple changing their policy, it's kind of the same probability. Even Apple's new policy with the third-party repair has turned out to be a joke. The parts cost so much money, it's just not even realistic. And what you can repair is like a joke. That whole program's turned out to be a total waste of time. I think that's something Apple's done just to appease the gods so they can do right to repair. You know, try and win that right to repair legislation. So, sorry I'm taking so long cleaning this. I should have prepared for this video, but I just thought you'd like to see the difference. Okay, so these are the two SMC direct heat stencils. Alright, these are those two stencils. Now, look really close at these and tell me what you notice is different. Little holes, big holes. And what was happening, because these holes were so large, and in some cases, like right on top of each other, let's see if I can get down low enough so you can see that and still keep it in focus. See how close they are down there? The balls would literally jump out from one side to the next. And I thought that's just because I didn't know what I was doing. And if you look at these, they're gonna have the same printing on them. Look at that. They have the same printing. But the difference is the size of the holes. So, if you buy a stencil and it's not working for you, don't think it's you. It could very well be the stencil.